On July 11, 2013, the Boston Police Department, along with Dan Conley, the Suffolk District Attorney, announced they had procured a DNA sample from a DeSalvo family member that matched the DNA of Albert DeSalvo through the Y chromosome, thereby granting a court order to exhume DeSalvo's body.
Good morning. Let me start off by introducing those here at the podium. To my right, Attorney General Martha Coakley. Right to my left and behind me, Boston Police Commissioner Ed Davis. Heads the Boston Police Cold Case Squad. And Don Hayes would like Don to please come up as well.
I said maybe it's time now to once again try some of these samples. With a heavy heart, we start looking at these samples once again, knowing that we're going to consume some samples.
The district attorney, along with the cold case unit and forensics, announced they would be conducting DNA testing due to evidence they had been storing until the technology became advanced enough not to lose the last bits of evidence they had.
Today we announce a major development in the investigation into the homicide of 19-year-old Mary Sullivan almost 50 years ago.
Albert DeSalvo confessed to being the notorious Boston Strangler, but police never proved it.
Mary Sullivan was raped and murdered, and her body was desecrated in the bedroom of her Charles Street apartment sometime on the afternoon of January 4th, 1964. It was the last of 11 murders that would be attributed to the confessed Boston Strangler, Albert Henry DeSalvo. For almost 5 decades, that confession has been the subject of skepticism and controversy from almost the moment it was given. There was no forensic evidence to link Albert DeSalvo to Mary Sullivan's murder until today. The evidence in this case never changed, but the scientific ability to use that evidence has surpassed every hope and expectation of investigators who were first assigned to the case. Advances in the sensitivity of DNA testing have allowed us to make a familial match between biological evidence recovered from the crime scene and a suspect in Mary Sullivan's murder. I want to make clear that these developments bear only on Mary Sullivan's murder.
Almost a half-century later, investigators may have cracked the case.
A Suffolk Superior Court judge authorized the exhumation of DeSalvo's remains for confirmatory testing that we expect will prove DeSalvo's guilt once and for all.
They are almost certain they will find an exact match between DeSalvo and the 11th and final strangulation victim, 19-year-old Mary Sullivan.
The mystery never was, so today the confessed Boston Strangler is being exhumed.
Investigators exhumed the remains of Albert DeSalvo as they work to crack the Boston Strangler case for good. The key to the investigation is DeSalvo's DNA, and tonight they have it.
Digging for answers at a Peabody cemetery, the medical examiner exhumed the body of Albert DeSalvo, a man who claimed he was the Boston Strangler. Investigators were able to make the DNA match after they grabbed a water bottle belonging to DeSalvo's nephew, who was under police surveillance.
Not only are we learning massive new information about this case, we're getting an inside look at how all of this technology has changed and some of the science behind it, too.
On July 18, 2013, the Boston Police, along with the district attorney, announced that DeSalvo's DNA in the biological evidence found by the last murder victim was a 100% match. This was specifically in regards to semen found on a blanket at the last murder scene. In the crime scene photos by the foot of Mary Sullivan where the Happy New Year's card was left is a blanket. On the blanket, you can see a stain, which is most likely the DNA evidence that the Boston Police Department was storing. So it's now with this evidence in the modern technology of forensics that will officially cement Albert DeSalvo as the Boston Strangler. But to my uncle and I, it has been our duty to show and publish Phil DiNatale's side of the story. A story that shows how far determination can carry a person, sometimes even 2 generations deep. Phil's story is finally published in full, captured in an 80-minute documentary called Stranglehold, In the Shadow of the Boston Strangler, in the web series of the same name.